Welcome back to the Hardware Core, your destination for honest, data-dense hardware breakdowns and zero marketing fluff. RAM buying advice in 2026 is genuinely confusing. Kit listings run from DDR5-4800 all the way to DDR5-9600. Prices swing wildly between configurations that look almost identical on paper. And with DDR5 pricing actively rising due to the same global memory squeeze we've already covered on this channel, getting this decision wrong means you're either overpaying now or waiting too long and paying more later. Here's what you actually need to know. There's a clear frequency target for each platform, a minimum capacity that modern gaming demands, and a handful of kits that consistently deliver without overpaying for headroom you'll never use. Today we cut through all of it. Let's start with frequency because this is where most people spend the most time and make the most unnecessary decisions. AMD's Zen 5 architecture has a specific relationship with memory speed that makes DDR5-6000 the obvious target for any Ryzen build in 2026. The memory controller inside Zen 5 processors synchronizes most efficiently at this frequency, operating in what AMD calls the 1-to-1 FCLK ratio. Push past DDR5-6000 and you cross into a 1-to-2 ratio where the memory controller runs at half the memory frequency. Real-world gaming benchmarks show this crossing point consistently. Frame time consistency improves up to DDR5-6000, then the returns flatten and in some cases reverse. That's not a marginal difference. It's a measurable architectural preference baked into the silicon. Intel's Core Ultra 200S architecture on the Z890 platform sits slightly higher. The sweet spot for Intel is between DDR5-6400 and DDR5-6800, where the memory controller handles the frequency without voltage stress. What this means practically: don't pay the premium for DDR5-7200 or DDR5-8000 kits on a standard gaming build. Those frequencies exist for benchmarking and overclocking enthusiasts. The gap between DDR5-6000 CL30 and DDR5-8000 CL40 in gaming workloads sits well under 3% in most tested titles. That's not worth $50 to $100 extra. Capacity is the other variable and it matters more than most buyers currently account for. 16 GB is technically functional in 2026, but modern AAA titles combined with Windows 11 background processes regularly push past that ceiling during heavy gaming sessions. 32 GB is the practical minimum for any build you're planning to run for 2 or more years. The price difference between 16 and 32 GB right now doesn't justify the compromise. One more thing before we get to the specific kits. The timing figure attached to a kit's frequency matters more than most buyers realize. CL30 at DDR5-6000 delivers meaningfully tighter latency than CL36 at the same speed. When two kits share identical frequencies, always check the first timing number. Lower is better, and it shows up in real-world system responsiveness. 3 kits worth buying in 2026, covering every major gaming budget tier. First, the Corsair Vengeance DDR5-6000 32 GB kit in a 2x16 configuration, around $105 to $125. This is the mainstream gaming sweet spot recommendation. DDR5-6000 CL30 hits the Zen 5 FCLK synchronization point precisely. The CL30 primary timing delivers tight latency, and dual XMP and Expo support means it works cleanly across both AMD and Intel platforms without tuning. This is the kit that went into the budget gaming PC build we covered on the channel, and it earns that recommendation. Check your CPU cooler clearance before ordering. The heat spreader sits at 44mm and can conflict with large dual-tower air coolers. Second, the G.Skill Trident Z5 RGB DDR5-6000 32 GB kit, around $120 to $145. For enthusiast gaming builds where aesthetics and performance both matter. G.Skill's Trident Z5 ships with tightly binned SK Hynix ICs that hold DDR5-6000 CL30 profiles reliably. If you don't care about the RGB or the premium aluminum heat spreader, the Corsair kit performs comparably for less money. If you do care, the extra spend is justified. Third, the Kingston Fury Renegade DDR5-6000 432 GB kit, around $140 to $165. This one is an Intel first recommendation. DDR5-6000 400 sits squarely inside the Intel Z890 sweet spot without pushing into the voltage territory that affects long-term stability. The Kingston Fury Renegade line has a strong reputation for consistency across platform firmware revisions. Note that AMD Expo support is absent. This kit runs fine on AM5 via XMP but won't hit its rated frequency as reliably without EXPO. Buy this for an Intel build, buy the Corsair or G.Skill for AMD. Here's the step that costs more builders real performance than any hardware decision does, and almost no one talks about it. Every DDR5 kit ships with an XMP or Expo profile that has to be manually activated in your motherboard BIOS before the memory runs at its advertised speed. Without enabling XMP or EXPO, every kit defaults to JEDEC specifications. That means a DDR5-6000 CL30 kit runs at DDR5-4800 CL40 until you tell the board otherwise. Builders who benchmark their system without enabling XMP and then wonder why memory performance looks underwhelming are running their memory well below what they paid for. The process takes less than 2 minutes. Restart your system and enter the BIOS. Most boards use the delete key during the post screen. Find the memory configuration section, listed as AI overclocking on ASUS, DOCP on MSI, or simply XMP and Expo depending on your board brand. Select the profile that matches your kit's rated speed. Save and restart. The board runs a brief memory training cycle and boots at the correct frequency. Verify it worked by opening CPU-Z in Windows and checking the memory tab. The frequency shown should match your kit's rated speed, noting that DDR5-6000 reads as 3000 in CPU-Z because it displays the base clock rather than the effective double data rate speed. One more tip before you run that verification. If your board reports training errors after enabling XMP for the first time, update your BIOS before anything else. Motherboard manufacturers push memory compatibility updates regularly, and a BIOS from launch day often has incomplete training algorithms for higher frequency kits. Updating first prevents the majority of post-XMP instability issues. And if after enabling XMP your system is still performing below expectations, the platform underneath your RAM matters just as much as the kit. We covered the full AM5 and Z890 motherboard comparison in a recent video, and the CPU pairing guide covers which chips get the most from properly tuned DDR5-6000. Links on the channel homepage. Drop a comment below. What DDR5 kit is running in your system right now, and are you on AMD or Intel? Hit subscribe for more honest, data-dense hardware breakdowns every week. This is the Hardware Core. See you on the next upgrade cycle.